What is going on, my people? This is the Hidden Wisdom Podcast, episode number 6. Today, I will be discussing addictions and why they will never ever heal your fucking soul, and also why they will never give you any true fulfillment. Now, I've created this particular podcast to help others out there who are dealing with addictions. Now, some are more severe than others, but I just am speaking from my own experience. I've never really had a so-called drug addiction, but I feel like there are addictions out there that might be very private, might be very secret, that are not really out there as much. Which we kind of downplay. Somebody who's really addicted to, no, I wouldn't say I was ever addicted to alcohol, but it was definitely I was addicted to the feeling that alcohol would give me. Now, I never was an alcoholic for all of my life or anything, but I'm just going to speak about my own experience. I had about a 2 to 3, maybe 4 year experience with, consecutive binge drinking, just drinking a lot of alcohol. um there's also like things like porn addictions and all these kind of things, people who are addicted to sex, all of these things. I feel that in our society today we downplay them because with alcohol, it's legal, you're just having a good time, there's nothing wrong with it. And I just feel like that is very misleading, and that's something that I bought into. And the reason I'm creating this podcast is because I want to spread some awareness to those who are in the same age group as me, between 20 and 30 years old, or those who are 18, 19, getting into this drinking culture, not really fully understanding the consequences because of the society around us. And people, especially in the West, we glamorize it. In the UK, it's something that is, it's basically like the best thing you can ever do. And things like forgetting when you black out and forgetting the night out, and all of these things are kind of laughed off. Oh, it was so good that I couldn't even remember last night. I couldn't even remember it. That's how good it was. And I just can't understand where these concepts are coming from, that we are now glamorizing your brain shutting down. We're glamorizing binge drinking to the point where you can't even remember what the fuck you did last night. Now, that's very dangerous in my opinion, and I think that something needs to change. I'm not here to change it, everybody. I think the culture is still going to continue the way it is going down, like it's always been like that. But I feel like, there are people in this culture who maybe all their friends are doing it. They might feel obliged that they might have a couple of drinks here and there, then they might start, because everybody else is doing it. They feel like, yeah, you know what? So and so's all doing it. They're not dropping dead. I'm going to just copy them. And I'm going to start drinking as well. I'm going to start fucking going hard on this shit because it makes me feel good. And I have, when you can remember the night out, it gives you confidence. You can speak to women so much easy. Your just confidence goes through the roof. You get that Dutch courage basically. And it's all false, it's all fake. But yeah, I understand the appeal because, for example, with myself, I wouldn't say I was shy, but you know I couldn't loosen up until I had a couple of drinks. I couldn't just be myself until I had been drinking. And I think when I was getting really fucked up and drinking a lot of alcohol and mixing my drinks and doing ridiculous things like this, I would suddenly get this courage out of nowhere and this complete confidence. So I get why some people might be attracted to it because, when they're not drinking, it's very hard to loosen up. It's very hard to engage in conversation. It's very difficult to maybe, do something as simple as dance in a nightclub. Like you might be so stiff, but the minute you get a couple of drinks down you, it's like all of a sudden all those limitations, all those restrictions, and that stiffness just melts away, and you can just do what you want. So I would just say to people, I mean, with my own experience, I was running away from a lot of problems. There were a lot of mental problems, a lot of traumas, a lot of things that I had been dealing with from childhood that never really got resolved. You know, these things I've been carrying with me to my early 20s without really opening up to anyone about it, without even, I didn't even want to open up about it to my fucking self. That's how deep it was. There was a lot of negativity, a lot of things that I couldn't really make sense of were occurring. And it's just, when we do that, and I know it sounds cliche, but when we bottle things up, we need something to ease that pain. We need something to let go of that. We need to escape from it, because sometimes it was consuming me. Some of these things that were going on, I've carried them my whole life. And when that burden was just getting too much for me, it was just like, yo, like, let me go out tonight. Like, let me just drink stupidly. And, in the moment, it gets rid of everything. And then you can just let go, have an amazing time, and that's it. And then the next day, you start feeling it, then it starts coming back in full force. And I call these things demons, like all these unresolved issues from the past, all these childhood traumas, all these things that have occurred. I refer to them as your demons. And when you drink, you basically, it's just like those demons go away for a short period of time, but the minute you come down from that high, the demons come back in full force, maybe even multiplying, like coming to haunt you. So, you know, it's I would also say one more thing. This is for the people who are a bit more spiritual. This is for the people who are a bit more um they kind of understand the supernatural a little bit more. But I just feel that, when you're drinking as well, um a lot of cultures around the world have stated that when you drink, you're basically allowing demons to even enter your body, like, supernatural entities that basically your guard has now lowered, and now they can come into your body and they can do what they want with it. And I actually believe that there were certain things that I was doing when I was drunk, just as probably everybody else has stories of them doing weird things that they would never do in a million years, or never say in a million years. They're now saying these things, and they're now acting stupidly. They're doing ridiculous things. And I just feel like sometimes, we invite demons to come into our life. We invite negative entities to come in. And I personally believe that when your brain shuts down and you can't remember the night before, I really believe that that's something else coming into your body and you are not conscious anymore. And there's been plenty of times where, there's been times where, I might have even had serious complications. I might have even died from drinking and stuff like that, but I just kept doing it because the pain was so unbearable. And another issue with me as well is, I was using things like sex and porn and things like this as a way to cope. That was my main thing. That was my main addiction. And I thought to myself, oh, it's fine. In the Western world, they kind of encourage you to have as much sex as possible. It's perfectly normal. It's fine. And I just believe that in itself is demonic as well. When you're doing these unclean things, when you're doing things that are degrading your temple, I just believe that you're inviting negative entities into your life, whether you believe it or not. And it starts taking a turn for the worse. And I used to think that because I'm not rolling something up and smoking it, then therefore I'm not, this sex thing, this porn stuff, it's not even an addiction. But really, I think it's probably the biggest addiction. And those who are indulging in a lot of sex, they do understand what I'm talking about, because you're using that feeling that it's almost like you don't even care about the woman. You don't even, it's not about her. It's all about you and your pleasure, and trying to prolong it for as long as you can. Now, this is something I haven't spoken about with anyone, but I think when I first got my health problems, I started to look into this and started to realize, like trying to clean up every area of my life as I possibly could. Now, there was something, even though I was having sex and I had a porn addiction, I feel like these are things that you know, I just couldn't open up to anyone about. And I just felt like deep down in my soul, like you just have an inbuilt thing inside you that says, there's something that's not right about this. There's something about this that feels so wrong. Like it doesn't, it's not right. Like you just know it inherently. And it's not a judgmental thing. It's not even a religious thing where, you need to feel bad about yourself and all. It's nothing to do with that. It's just an inherent thing I think are we have in nature that tells us when something is not meant to be. And I used to ignore that feeling all the time. But I think when I first got my health problems, that's one of the main reasons I thought, maybe this might be contributing to some of my mental health problems, to some of my physical health problems. Who knows? Because I was excessively having sex all the time. And porn and stuff is so readily accessible. And it was just used to de-stress. It was used to run away and escape constantly out of my life. And I just feel like these addictions, when it comes to something more subtle like a sex addiction or porn addiction, the thing is, it's secret. It's not there for the world to see. When you're binge drinking and you're being, everybody, your friends, your family, everyone can see what you're doing. They see the effects and everything. But with this, I just feel like there are no there are there's no one seeing you do it, so you then start to feel like it's okay. And I just feel like this is something that is close to my heart. I feel like I'm putting myself on the line by saying this stuff. I've never said any of this shit to anybody else, and I just feel like there's somebody else out there that's going through the same stuff as me. And it really is fucked, yeah, when you're in the middle of this addiction. And I hate it when people say, oh, porn and sex, it can't be an addiction. These things are not an addiction. Like, seriously, shut the fuck up, yeah, because I guarantee you that if tomorrow you try to stop for 3 months or longer than that, if I said to you, okay, if it's not an addiction, then give it up tomorrow. If it's not an addiction, it won't be hard to stop this for the rest of the year, to never go on this stuff ever again. They're going to make a million motherfucking excuses because they know that it is a serious addiction. They know deep down they can't live without it and they have to go on it. And it's just, if it's not that big of a problem, if it's not a real addiction, then why do you feel, then don't go on it for the rest of the year. Don't go on it for 6 months. And see, people can't, because I feel like this is one of the ways that the media, that mainstream society, I just feel like with alcohol, with sex, and with all the things that they promote to us and our youth, they're promoting in their videos, music videos, and in the mainstream songs and music. The things that they promote everywhere is to do with sex, because obviously sex sells. And everything they have, like, to do with alcohol. I'm seeing the adverts on TV. Like, do you know how many fucking people die? Do you know how many innocent people die from drink driving? And like, I don't understand how this is not banned. Like, it's probably one of the worst things you can ever do to your body as well. Like, it damages the liver, and the liver is, what, from my understanding, one of the most important organs in your body. Now, look at the name of it, liver. To live, you need that, So I just feel like a lot of people are getting fucking raped by the matrix system by indulging in this shit. And it's rotting your body, it's rotting your mind and your soul. And the thing is, even if you're not a full-blown alcoholic, like I never was, I never needed a drink on the hour. I never woke up and said I need a drink. It was just with social situations, I would start binge drinking and things like that. So it wasn't all the time. But even then, I was looking for something to ease that pain. I was looking for something to fulfill that void that was within me. And the thing is, this temporarily sex as well and all these things, it will temporarily give you that pleasure. But at the end of the day, it just makes it a million times worse, and the void keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and you're trying to drink more amounts, you're trying to have more sex, you're trying to watch more porn, you're getting more addicted to these substances, and the void is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I just feel like at this moment in time in my life, I'm doing a lot of personal development, and I'm on a journey, man. Like, it hasn't really been easy, but the alcohol is something I got out straight away. It's like, you know, my only vice I have when it comes to alcohol, which is very, very rare, is I cut drinking out completely. But around Christmas time, I might, the only thing I might have a very small amount of is maybe some mulled wine or something along the lines of that. Very small amount. But even that, like, now I'm starting to get into Islam and things like this. It's completely prohibited, and I've got the fucking evidence. I've got first-hand experience of why this shit should be prohibited, and I'm just like, at the end of the day, I don't need this stuff. I don't need to do this, because since I started cleaning out my life, and I started to, and I started to follow my purpose. I started to do more exercise. I started to eat a very clean diet. I started to make all my own foods. I stopped eating at restaurants. I, got negative people and all this crap out of my life. Since I started to dig a bit deeper and look into my childhood issues and the traumas that I've had growing up, and starting to resolve these issues, I've now got to a place where I know when I do get the urges to maybe have a drink, or I have an urge to maybe have sex, I understand the deeper psychological need that is not being met and is not being fulfilled. And it's like, now that has lessened considerably since I started following my purpose and started living life the way that I wanted to live it. Because for many years, when I was deep in that addiction phase, I was not living the life that was intended for me. I wasn't living my purpose. I was doing what everybody else fucking told me to do, and it was destroying me on every level, even to what I was studying, to how to conduct myself, how to behave, how to express myself. Everything was dumbed down to follow this, and there's no way out of that. You have to be around these people because they're family. There's no way out of this. It was basically like you're fucked for life. And to ease that pain, I would just fully dive in to these addictions. So the thing is, if you ever want to heal an addiction, whether it be sex, whether it be weed, whether it be alcohol, whether it be food, whatever the fucking addiction is, you could be addicted to junk food. You could be, I was severely addicted to that as well. It's so many things that I now understand that I had an addiction problem. I was using substances to get high throughout the day, to get my fix. Otherwise I didn't feel right, like I needed to get that fix. And I feel like there's many things in society, with gambling, all these things that we are being driven to, because most of our lives have turned to shit, and we just need something to escape. And I just feel like cleaning up your life, cleaning your diet up, cleaning up the friends that you're hanging around with, the family members, all of these things that you need to really clean. I keep putting emphasis on this because this is what's really helped me. When you focus on the addiction, you want to attack the addiction, you're trying to kill the addiction, you're trying to war with it and all this shit. You're making the shit stronger. But when you put the addiction and everything to the side, and you say, you know what, I'm going to clean my life up. I'm going to get more active in religion. I'm going to get more active in spirituality. I might start meditating every day. I'm going to start going to yoga once a week. I'm going to start eating more fruit and more vegetables in their raw state. I'm going to start doing some detoxing and some cleansing. I'm going to start really doing some exercise, sweating out those toxins. Like, I just feel like this, when you start doing that and keeping that very consistent, your mind becomes clearer, your mind becomes sharper. You're doing affirmations every day, you're praying every day. The act of doing the Islamic prayers 5 times a day. I mean, I'm not on these levels there, but just I'm trying to get into a state of mind where I want these things. Even if I pray once in the morning, and getting up in the morning, and when you have a morning ritual at 5:30 every morning and you pray, you're actually washing yourself, cleansing your external body, and then you actually get your prayer mat and you start praying. You have a set intention for the rest of the day. You want God to guide you for the rest of the day. You write your affirmations out, and you start talking about how you're no longer consumed by addiction. You no longer want to go on porn. You write your affirmation, you set your intention. The rest of your day, you're set. You know what is right and what's wrong. You trained your subconscious to understand what your behavior is and how to deal with the problems. And I just feel like I don't really know too much about these 12-step programs. I don't really know too much about any of this stuff. But all I can say is abstinence from everything from a long period of time. Things like fasting as well, from food and water. All these things will give you the right tools you need. But the thing is, you need to work hard on yourself. There is no quick fix. There's no magic pill. This might take fucking 4 years. This might take 8 years for some people. I don't know, but that consistent effort of day to day, living every single day in the present and focusing on your intention and getting up early. I haven't mastered this, but I've been doing it off and on, and I'm trying to get into a state of mind now where I want to be, more organized. I want to be waking up early in the morning. I want to, because I've tried these things and for certain periods of time, and they really work. And the days that I don't do it, I'm finding myself falling off. So I just want people to be very careful about what they're listening to in terms of music, in terms of the media, in terms of the way that society is normalizing things that are actually degrading you on every fucking level. You could be having the best pleasure of your life drinking. You could be having so much pleasure having sex with all sorts of different people, like just having like 10 different women there, like, having so many different partners, mixing it up and all this stuff. It's just like, and not, because I would get bored. Then I would need to move on to the next one. And just having that pleasure could feel so good. But your life, your waking reality, you're looking around and your life is gone to shit. Because all the energy is being poured into that, where you could be pouring that energy into yourself. You could be manifesting your career. You could be manifesting abundant health. You could be manifesting being a millionaire. You could be doing so much. You could be manifesting that energy into inspiring the world. You could be finding your purpose. There's so many things that I feel like society doesn't want you to do. They want to throw you in the system, put you in that cubicle for the rest of your life, go to work, shut the fuck up, don't have any opinions, don't have your own mind, don't speak your truth, don't express yourself. All that fire, especially with men, yeah? You see, when you haven't had sex for a long time and you get that fire, that energy, like it's roaring inside of you. Like, I'm not sure if you have really experienced that, but I know I have. And it's just, you don't know what to do. It's like you're almost paralyzed because that energy is burning inside you in your veins. And use that fucking energy into creating a purpose. Use that energy in creating your career. Use that energy for something worthwhile, and that's called sexual transmutation, from Napoleon Hill, his book called Think and Grow Rich. And I just feel like, they want you to just be so in the fucking flesh, man, like so obsessed with, as soon as you get that feeling, we need to go and have sex. Like, that's what's ingrained in us. And I just think that these problems, they need to be resolved by following your purpose and living the best, higher version of your life. Don't succumb to that low shit. Don't succumb to that lower vibrational crap, which I feel like, it sounds very like it's some fucking, like I've got some tinfoil hat on my head and I'm some conspiracy theorist. But I'm sorry to tell you, that's the fucking reality. On all fronts, I just feel like we are being attacked on every fucking level out here. And that's why I just seek to educate people. I mean, I've had my experience. This is just my experience, but I'm seeing this happen to everybody. People just indulging in quick fixes and temporary pleasures. And I just think that, the minute you get that shit out of your life, you bin the porn, you bin the sex, you remove the alcohol, you start cleaning up your health. You might not get that next level dopamine hit, but you know what? Throughout the rest of your life, you're going to have that subtle dopamine hitting in your brain constantly. Like it's never going to go away. And that void slowly becomes filled up. And you start becoming fulfilled. Your life becomes serene. Magic starts happening in your life. You start manifesting. You start setting goals. You start achieving things. You start manifesting healthy friendships. You start manifesting the right woman to be in your life. All of this shit starts happening because you start utilizing that energy. And the goal for me now is, I've been doing this since last October. You know, I used to be heavily addicted to maybe now relapsing now and then, and I've now got to an amazing place in my life where I'm like, you know what, I'm ready to go war mode on these motherfuckers, man. I'm ready to go hard on these motherfuckers, because since I've understood that every time I relapsed, I felt like shit. Every time I relapsed, I had no energy. Every time I relapsed, it was like, did I just do that? Like, did I just fuck my progress away? So, yeah, man, like, I just think it's very important to not get caught up in society and what they are telling you. Get the fuck away from society as much as you can. Spend a lot of time in solitude. I'll be doing some more podcasts regarding solitude as well. Spend some time with yourself. Get to know who you are and manifest the right people, because especially I feel like people are the biggest causes of diseases and unrest in people. They cause a lot of problems, and I think to a certain extent they cause a lot of people to go into these addictions. And I think there's not a direct connection, there's not a direct link to that. Society won't tell you this stuff. So yeah, that's basically what was on my mind today. I hope you took something away from that. Those of you who are struggling and you're listening to this, I hope you really understand what I'm talking about and what I said, and I hope you can learn from my experiences so you don't have to make the same mistakes as I did. But yeah, thank you again for listening. I've got a lot more uploads I'm about to do, so please stay locked, please stay tuned in, and yeah, thanks for listening again. Peace.